everybody. Welcome back to the Momotivated Podcast. I'm Rinima Borah, and today is episode 4. I have a dear friend and my personal gynecologist, Dr. Apurva. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Rinima. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Oh my gosh, I have been waiting to get you, and your dates are off the hook. So thank you for making time. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Apurva Palamreddy. I'm a gynecologist, endoscopic surgeon, and as I really love to say, I can get women pregnant. A fertility specialist as well. I'm from Jayanagar, Bangalore.
South Bangalore.
Yes.
Filter coffee. So we have you to answer women health related questions. I feel it's so important for women to kind of know stuff, to talk about things. And I think so many of us, for the longest time, didn't even know the need of like going and seeing a gynecologist, or like we think if we have an issue or there is a problem, that is the time we need to go see a gynecologist. Whereas I feel like frequent visits and timely visits will prevent so many issues. So we have a lot of questions for you. Are you ready?
Go for it.
All right, the first one is pretty interesting, and I don't know the answer for this. I'm going to be honest about it. So we are talking about hymen. Is it a sign of virginity, and is there a way that doctors can tell if a girl is a virgin or not a virgin?
Okay, easily, I think this is the most asked question, whenever I'm there, either in an interview or, I'm going to a college to kind of meet girls. So easily the most commonly asked question. To kind of put it in simple way, no, hymen in itself is not an indication of virginity. And honestly speaking, there is really no which way a gynecologist can completely examine a person and say that, okay, they have lost their virginity because the hymen is ruptured. And especially, I think in the current generation, we need to understand a little bit more about the anatomy of the hymen.
Right.
It's not a complete membrane, or, it's not a complete barrier, because you've been bleeding for almost, since you were 13, 14.
Right.
So if it was a complete closed door, you will not have the blood coming out.
Right.
So it is natural to kind of have a partition or a split that is there in the hymen, that is a membrane. Now for women, it depends, just like how the wall of vulva, wherein, there are different types of vulvas and vaginas that are depicted. And as all of them are normal, likewise, even for the hymenal structure, the diameter or the capacity is going to vary from person to person based on their ethnicity and, the kind of activities that they have been doing, how active or not so active they have been in their life. So to put it simply, it's almost impossible for a gynecologist just to kind of examine your hymenal space and say that you've lost your virginity or not, or if you've had penetrative sex, let's put it that way. There are different bases, and that's very important.
I kind of almost want to celebrate for this answer. I'm like, it's a win for us. But thank you. That was like, so, seriously, I can't believe I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Shame on me for being so ignorant, but that's what I'm saying. We all need to ask these questions and kind of just get to know about it.
Believe me, my mom is a gynecologist. Until I have joined OBGYN, even I didn't know much about this. So you're completely excused.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to our next question. Okay, so do all women bleed when they have intercourse for the first time, or is it just a myth?
Again, that's another myth. In the ancient eras, we've seen that, especially in the Western culture, they used to kind of spread a white sheet, or that the whole concept of having white is to kind of really know that a consummation has happened or not, so that you see some amount of blood and they feel that a consummation has happened. But again, breaking news for them, that it's not always true that every single time, or rather the first time you kind of have sex, that you have to bleed. It all depends on the amount of blood vessels that are there in the hymen membrane and how elastic it actually is. So in case if the elasticity of it is good, just like, our skin or body or your muscle, hymen also varies from person to person. So if the vascularity is less, or if the elasticity of the hymen is more, then it's very likely that you don't have bleeding at all in the first time, and you might bleed at a later point. It is also possible that for a long duration of time, let's say even for a year, you continue to bleed every time you have intercourse. You have some amount of spotting. I have known married women who've given birth who still have some amount of spotting, after they have intercourse. Of course, we have to rule out all other pathological conditions, but it is very possible.
To not bleed after.
Absolutely.
Sex. So,
And
okay.
both ways.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have known it because I did bleed. I just remembered that for a very long time. So I'm like, okay. So I never thought that it could be also the other way. But wow, crazy. But see, this is the whole point, having you here and getting all these simple questions answered, but still.
I think it's great that, you are coming out and, making a conversation like this, because I bet every single, person,
Is
both
curious.
men and women who are watching this, want to know all about this.
But they just don't shy away from asking. We'll do the job for you guys. Don't worry about it. All right, that brings us to our third question. I love these questions. I'm like, we're already at the third, and I'm like pumped up now. I have goosebumps. So we are breaking so many myths, So second one, you've heard about this. This is, again, one of the mostly widely spoken about, PMS. Is it a myth? Is it true? I mean, what consequences? How does it affect?
So the premenstrual syndrome, it can constitute a whole lot of symptoms. Whenever we call a syndrome, it's a whole group of symptoms that are put together. And it can vary from bloating, mood swings, a little irritability, headache, or, hunger, sleeplessness. A whole lot of symptoms can, manifest from person to person again. But somehow, I think we live in a patriarchal society wherein they have attributed all the negative, characteristics that, to kind of be associated with the menstruation or,
You're in a bad
something.
mood, you must be charming.
Absolutely. So, yes, it is true that women have to undergo all these changes every single month, because imagine it like, a bad hangover. You've been high on a whole lot of hormones because your body is prepping you for a pregnancy, your ovulation. And then the moment you don't get pregnant, you're about to get your cycle. So at that point, there is a sudden drop in all the hormones that are there in the body. So technically, yes, it's like a bad hangover and it is real. But having said that, you don't have to attribute every bad mood to a PMS. Yeah.
And it's just, people need something.
Sure. And I think everyone has a different way of coping it. Some have coffee or, some do exercise. And there are some multivitamins also which we can take in order to help us, sail through this bad patch of, 5-6 days.
Right. Because while you said that, I mean, this wasn't a question in my mind before, but I think you brought up something. When you said exercise, this question again, so I work out, you work out. I have asked this question to a lot of gynecologists and have got mixed responses. Are you supposed to work out while you are in your periods?
I have worked out. I have swam in my chums. And I would say that there is no one right or wrong. When someone says that, okay, you shouldn't be working out during your periods, that's because you're losing, a whole lot of blood, which will make you weak. And that's the reason why we tell you yes. But it's completely up to you. If you are feeling up to it that day and you feel that you have the energy for it, then you should definitely go ahead and do it. You can alter your your routine. It's if you're lifting about 40-50 kgs, doesn't mean that that day also you have to lift 40-50 kgs. Exactly. So you can just alter your routine. It's not required that you need to stop going to work out altogether. But I think different women have different reasons probably for not working out. They might be concerned that, there might be a leak or a stain might happen.
Yeah, I am one of those.
Yes.
I've forever been wanting to do it, but I just cannot the first 3 days. But I have women, all my friends, they're always, so I'm like, whatever rocks your boat, this is just my deal. So, wow. Okay, so talking about syndromes, PCOS. Everyone has it.
The mother of all syndromes, as I like to say it.
It's a mother of all.
Absolutely. So I think the confusion for a lot of people is to kind of call it either PCOD or
PCOS.
Yes. So polycystic ovarian disease or polycystic ovarian syndrome. So to simply put it, we used to call Bangalore before, and now it's become Bengaluru. And, literally nothing has changed about the city, including the beauty and the traffic and everything else.
And the people
yes.
in it.
So it's exactly like that. So when we call a condition a disease, there is a certain amount of stigma that is attached to it. So as medical professionals, as we realized the stigma that it is attached, so we moved from that space into calling it a group of symptoms as polycystic ovarian syndrome, because everyone who has PCOS can manifest it in literally, tens of different ways. So I can have PCOS and have absolutely regular cycles and probably have only acne and hair fall. And, someone else can have PCOS and have really regular cycles and have the perfect skin and, great hair and everything else. So which is why it's a group of symptoms and it's manifested different for different women. I keep saying that in each decade, we come up with one condition to kind of really worry about.
Focus on, and everyone is apparently like going through only that.
Absolutely. I think 2 decades ago, probably that was diabetes. Everybody was really scared of diabetes, and the moment you say that you have diabetes,
This is the end of
absolutely.
life. Yeah.
And with time, they realized that, it is just another hormonal condition. You can manage it with medication, certain amount of lifestyle, and then you kind of learn to live with it. And then came your thyroid conditions.
Right. Oh my gosh. My mom is obsessed.
Yeah. So again, there was so much stigma around that, women who have thyroid can't get pregnant and, they will have miscarriages and, a whole lot of stigma that was attached with the thyroid condition. But then now, again, we've moved on and we've now found a new favorite, which is the PCOS. Even kids, girls as young as 18, come to my clinic. They've just missed one period. And, they are saying, Doc, I just want to see if I have PCOS. So they're petrified about it. The moms come with them and they were like that, if she has PCOS, can she get pregnant? They are petrified about it. So to put it out in the plain, just like diabetes and thyroid, PCOS also is a hormonal condition. And it has an effective way of managing it. Not curing it, but managing it. Either with your lifestyle or with medications, we have effective way of managing it.
Right. Thank you. All right. So I'm moving on to like this most inevitable thing that happens to every woman. By choice, of course, pregnancy. So please share your thoughts on your thoughts on pregnancy, the aftermath. And this last question, I'm going to be specific. Like your lifestyle, what's a desired lifestyle that you recommend to a pregnant woman?
So I think the most important thing again is going to be the age. When is an appropriate age to kind of get pregnant? And, can we get pregnant after 30? Can we push it till that time? So if you ask me, can I get pregnant after 30 or after 40 even for that matter? I would say yes. Yeah. But then a certain level of complications also will come with it. Right. The pregnancy that's there when you're younger is going to be much more smoother. Right, and yes, on a percentage basis, I would say probably 95% of the women would have a less complicated pregnancy if they're less than 30. And the complication rates will slightly increase as the age, goes up. And we should be able to kind of willing to accept it. The problem in the current situation or scenario of social media is, we see such a glamorous side of the entire thing. You see all these, celebrities and movie stars getting pregnant at an age whenever they want to. Right. And everything seems, so smooth.
They promote it to a huge extent.
Yes. But again, that's only one side of it. A whole lot of movie stars would kind of go ahead and freeze their eggs at a much younger age. So although, physically you're older, the eggs that are going to result in the baby are way younger. So that's one way of looking at it. The second aspect, of course, is going to be how we are all used to a certain lifestyle, to either party or stay up late or not be responsible for any other, human being other than yourself. So those responsibilities, of course, are going to change once you become a mother or even a father. I would want to kind of say
Bring in both. Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
It has to be a dual effort. Yeah. And if the woman is carrying the child for 9 months inside her tummy, which men say, okay, this is how nature has made it.
We can't carry it.
Yeah,
So,
but so it definitely means that you can make the environment at least much more
Pleasant.
favorable for the women, and make her as comfortable as they can get during those 9 months, and definitely after the childbirth also. So yes, I've had patients who've come to me in second month or third month pregnancy, and they've realized that they've consumed alcohol or they have smoked up and partied, traveled, and they're concerned that if it is going to have an impact on the child. So everything is in a proportion. So if you are a binge drinker, you have a lot of alcohol, 5-6 shooters in a day, and you're drinking about 5 days or 5 nights in a week.
That's of
so
course
that
not right,
is a lot of alcohol.
Of course, yeah.
And that is going to have some impact. But if you're someone who's having 1 or 2 beers occasionally, or you're having 1 or 2 glasses of wine, or you've just went for a vacation and you've partied, and in the same instant you actually got pregnant, it's not mandatory that it has to have or rather it will definitely have a negative impact on the child. So it's not required for us to terminate a pregnancy in those scenarios. We usually go ahead and we kind of observe them. During the course of pregnancy, however, we always recommend no smoking, and that includes both active and passive smoking. And with respect to alcohol, I think there is still a certain level of leverage that women have. 1 or 2 glasses of wine on occasions in the course of pregnancy is still all right. But this again is carried out on an individual basis. So you will have to kind of check with your gynecologist. And I would always say, your gynecologist should be your
Consultant
and
advisor.
someone whom you should be able to openly discuss
Right.
your issues with.
Very well put, yeah. Because I feel a lot of women kind of hesitate to even acknowledge that they smoke or they smoke up or they drink or any of those, yeah.
So again, this is something I say, there are a lot of good men in the world, but then you choose a person and then you marry that person, and that person or the good guy becomes your husband. Now that doesn't mean that all the other men are bad.
Right, oh my God.
Likewise, there are a lot of good gynecologists that are out there. You just need to find someone wherein you are able to connect with.
Right, like I found you.
And then be open about your health conditions, because this is not something you will be able to get on Google. And if you're going to Google and say that, can I drink in pregnancy, and you're going to get a whole lot of dysmorphed baby pictures, that will kind of happen. Or if you say I have headache in pregnancy, they're going to take you straight to a brain tumor. So it's very important that you find a good doctor. You're able to connect with them and be open about your current condition, everything, including your lifestyle and medical conditions, and have that safe space of not being judged.
Right. I mean, I'm sure you won't call the cops. Like that's the first my fear when I was like, oh my God.
Only
like
if you're less than 18.
No, I'm 34, so I'm good. So no, but for all the ladies though, they really don't call the cops. So you can tell them like about your lifestyle and be open about it. No, and I think gynecologists, like I really had to meet couple to find my final gynecologist, right? And that's when you said that, find yours, because I really, I mean, I had a situation when I remember I was pregnant, right? And I didn't want to have the child at the time because of whatever personal reasons I had, and I wanted to go ahead and discuss like if I can abort the baby but I felt like I was so judged immediately, and I'm talking about one of the most reputed hospitals in the city, one of the most expensive, most reputed, right? So, and at the same time, when I came to you, and the world will know someday why, what, everything, but you were like so open to everything, and that is the reason I was able to like open up. But thank you very much for that. I know that you're one of those gynecologists, and you're my gynecologist. Don't steal her. Don't book her too much, but yes. But thank you for being that person. Like, it really means a lot.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the next question, birth control, right? I never took it. Again, I'm very unaware and I have very less information and education on that subject. So I'm very happy to ask you this question because I know you will share a lot. What are the different types of birth control? One, and if you can tell us what is the right age for somebody to get on it?
Okay. I will take the last question first. Okay, that, what is the right age? I think the moment you feel, you're ready to kind of have sex, it's important that you should know what are the types of birth control that are available, and what is the safest way that you can use them. So yes, age is no bar. The moment you're 18 and you are an adult, you should be able to know what are the different types of birth control before you go ahead and date someone or have sex. Because it is very important, because at that young age, you have a very, very high fertility potential.
Right. Yeah.
Both for men and women, the sperms can last longer. And if you're using a method like, the timed method is what I say, they try and calculate the ovulation period on one of the
we have
apps.
those apps, yeah.
And they feel that, okay, this is going to be the safe period.
Right.
But if the sperms are really, healthy, they can survive longer, and it can result in an unwanted pregnancy. I think, which is more disastrous than anything else. Coming back to the different methods that we have, I think the most common everyone knows is a condom. Right. I don't know what is the hesitation in using the condom, because that is going to protect you not only from pregnancy, a whole lot of sexually transmitted diseases, and a lot of mental peace.
I know that anxiety. You don't want that kind of
Yes,
anxiety.
yes.
I swear, yeah.
Not just for pregnancy, for that matter. I get young adults all the time.
Yeah.
They want to get an array of investigations that they've had one unprotected intercourse 6 months back, and every single symptom that they're experiencing in their body through all these 6 months, they feel it is somehow related to some kind of STD.
Yeah.
And it's a huge trauma to kind of live with. So definitely condoms, in case if you don't have a stable partner, that's going to be the best way for you to both prevent pregnancy and your sexually transmitted diseases. I have to say it's a huge no-no.
Oh my God, it scares me.
There is a reason why it's called emergency contraception.
Right, yeah.
You can't call, a 911 or 100
all the
every
time.
single time, there is a problem.
Yeah.
It has to be only for emergency purposes, like let's say a condom has broken, or, you've had sex and, they've been situations wherein you were not able to kind of use a contraception. And using IPIL multiple number of times is going to, cause a lot of side effects, in the body as well, cause period-related changes, which can sometimes be lasting.
Right.
And they just think that it is one pill.
I know.
So,
I'm guilty. Really, I got to know about this way after I kind of abused it a little bit. I felt when I was very young myself, and I'm like, gosh. But I was glad I spoke to a gynecologist, and I was like, she was like, no. I'm like, oh my God, yeah.
so just to kind of put in a perspective, if you're taking a 21-day pill, okay, that's the regular contraceptive pills that you have. If you take 6 or 7 tablets together in one shot, the amount of hormones that you're consuming is equal to the amount that you're consuming with one pill.
Oh my God.
So it's like a huge hormone slap to the body. So it's definitely not safer than your regular oral contraceptive pills per se. And then we move on to the oral contraceptive pills. These are definitely very, very effective. The only problem is the point of consuming one tablet every day. Pills are very, very common in the West. They are available over the counter, and, young girls, even without actually consulting a gynecologist, also can start taking the pills.
Glorified for some reason.
But in India, I think we still have a certain reservation towards consuming pills. We feel that it is going to cause
issues in the future. Or
that
stuff
they,
like
they
that,
feel
yeah.
if you take pills for about a month,
Yeah.
you won't get pregnant
Yeah.
forever, kind of thing. Or you're going to have a whole lot of problems when you're planning for pregnancy. On contrary, if you have an unwanted pregnancy and you have to go ahead with a termination, that is what can be more devastating
Then as opposed to
Absolutely. So pills definitely are very, very effective. So again, if you're in a stable relationship and you feel you're in a live-in and you are going to be together or have sex more number of times, then pills are definitely the best contraceptive advice that can be. Of course, we have other, long-term or longer duration methods like the Copati or a loop or a Mirena. But again, all of them are invasive. We need to insert it into the uterus and then we leave it.
Oh, never doing it. You know me, I can't.
I am very vocal about it.
Yes,
I
yeah.
have been on a Copati for 8 years,
Right.
and every time a patient is apprehensive about
Yeah.
it, I kind of tell them that I wouldn't do something to my body.
Of course, if you didn't believe that it was the
Yes,
best thing to
yes.
do. I know, because one of my housekeepers, I think you've seen her, she's on it too. I asked her several times, I'm like, was it painful? Because I'm trying to convince myself to do it too. But I know that it is very effective because she's always like giving me good feedback about it. So.
Yeah. So I think again there are a whole basket of options that we have even with respect to contraception. Right. It would always be safer for you to kind of consult your gynae and figure out what option suits you best according to your health conditions, according to your sexual practices, and your general day-to-day activity. It would be best to have the discussion with your gynae and choose what
works for you.
What works.
The reason I have a smirk on my face from quite some time, if you notice, is because, do you remember me panicking and reaching out from Europe during my Europe trip?
Yeah.
Because and now I'm preaching, like we're sitting here with you, nodding my head, pretending like I'm on this, but I'm one of those women who messed up myself, and I was so worried that I was pregnant. And it was during the Euro trip, and I didn't want the pregnancy. And I was like, doctor, I don't know what's going on. Back-to-back pregnancy test, but it was negative. And I finally got my periods. I was like, oh, my sigh of relief. But when he spoke about it, I was like, damn, we should be more preventive about it.
I think that is the only time women are happy getting their periods.
Oh my gosh.
When you have a
I'm like,
pregnancy
please,
scare.
just come. And like, you dread it. Otherwise, you hope it's delayed by a day or two or three.
Yeah.
And I was begging for it. I was like, please, just come. And I was so happy. I celebrated,
Sure.
But yeah, thank you. Like, I think it was so informative again. But let's move on to the next couple of questions. Yes. So the HPV vaccine. Gosh, I have been forever planning to take it. I don't know why I haven't taken it. I think it's already late because I'm 34. But again, please throw some light on that. What is it and what is the right age?
Cervical cancer, that way, the moment we kind of say cancer, everything else that comes after the 3 minutes, I think blocks out of people's mind,
making a conscious effort
Yeah.
to keep an open mind, yeah.
So that's how scared we are. Of course, everyone is about cancer. But cervical cancer, incidentally, is one of the types of cancer which can be effectively not only screened for, but also prevented. Wow. So human papilloma virus, that is your HPV, it's a kind of virus. Right. Now everybody is focused only on the coronavirus.
For some reason.
Yes. So this virus is one of the most common risk factors for causing cervical cancer. So someone who is tested positive for an HPV has a higher chances of developing cervical cancer as compared to someone who's not. Okay. And this is something just like any other virus, we have vaccines for it to protect you from actually developing the infection in itself. Okay. So you take the vaccine, so your risk of developing an HPV infection goes down, and thus your risk of having a cervical cancer also goes down. Okay. So I just want to break one myth here, that just because you have taken your HPV vaccine,
doesn't mean you won't.
Yes, doesn't mean you should stop screening yourself using a pap smear. So pap smear is a small test that we kind of do. It can be done once in 3 years. Okay. So if a test is normal, you just need to kind of repeat it every 3 years, like how you do a breast scan or a mammogram for breast CA. Right. Pap smear is a screening test for cervical cancer. So you should still continue screening yourself, because the risk is significantly reduced, but it's still there. Right. And age-wise, at the moment, there is really no bar. Even if you're sexually active, if you're married, you have children, you can still go ahead and take it. At the moment, in our regular, national immunization program, like how we've been vaccinated either for measles or mumps, rubella, or your hepatitis, they have introduced HPV as well. as an additional vaccine, which can be taken between the ages of 9 to 13. Yes. And this can be given for both men and women.
Oh, so it's 9 to 13?
Yes. So that is for the
Wow.
current generation.
Crazy. So they have gone even more.
Yes. Yes.
Ahead
So
of
in
age.
our generation, when we were, 9 to 13, almost 2 decades ago, at that point, the vaccine wasn't very prevalent. So which is why it wasn't in the National Immunization Program. But eventually it has been added as an optional vaccine wherein you can kind of go ahead and take it. So for kids also, yes, you can take it. If you're already an adult, you can still take it. If you've already been tested positive for HPV also, so there are different strains of HPV.
Right.
Almost a ton of them that are there. So if you're positive, let's say for a 16 and 18, you can still take the vaccine and protect yourself against the other viruses or the other
is
strains
related.
of viruses. Like your Delta and Omega and all the
Right,
different
right,
strains of
right.
COVID. So it is still going to kind of give you protection.
So it'll be wrong to say that if you got it once, there's no point taking the vaccine.
Yes.
So I'm 34 and I can still come and take the vaccine. I think it's high time. And I also want to do those tests.
Yeah.
I think it's time. I talk about it so much and I preach, but I think mammogram is something I've forever dreaded, like every woman does. But I think, so your clinic has it?
Yes.
So
So
can come
I
and do it.
have, myself have got it. It's because doctors are the worst patients.
I know. Yeah, of course.
So I make sure that, once a year we go through all the checks on a regular basis just to kind of, have peace of mind. And because we are seeing this day in and
Every
day out.
day,
Yeah.
Oh my God. Does that affect you?
Of course it does. Of course it does. No matter how many pregnancies we've seen or how many births, babies we have delivered, every single time there is a miscarriage or some mishap happens in the course of pregnancy, it is going to bring you down. I
Yeah,
mean,
of
you're
course.
just
You're
human.
human, yeah.
It is going to bring you down, but the only thing is that we need to be a professional. We need to help them get over that situation and give them a professional advice so that they see the light at the end of the tunnel and make sure that they get pregnant again and have that child they always wanted again.
Yeah. It must take a toll on you though, right?
For sure.
What do you do personally, like to cope up, to like break free sometimes from it? Because I can't imagine. Like for
Right.
me, I'll cry with one person. You see like so many of them every day.
Sure. Again, as I said, we all have bad days,
Yeah.
and everyone has a way of coping up with it. I think for me, it's music. I don't like going out and meeting people at that time, or making small talk or anything. So I just need that time for myself for music. And fortunately, in our profession, if we have about 5% of bad cases, you do have about 95% of things which are going your way. So you try and focus on that and then gather your energy so that you can help this 5% another day.
Oh my gosh. But my observation about you, I see your stories every day. And I think the reason you are able to do this with others and also with me is because you are such a happy person. Sure. Like your self-love is seen in your photos. I love the way you take care of yourself. I love the way you drape those saris and put up. You look so good in it. And you can see like this person takes, like, and that's what we're saying. Like if you're happy by yourself and you're such a happy person and then you become a happy doctor and then it's easy life for all of us.
Good hair day is a great day any day.
I'm going to ask the last question. It makes me sad. But yeah, surrogacy, big hot topic. Priyanka Chopra had it, Karan Johar had it, Shilpa Shetty did it. I don't know who else, like
There's so
Kim
many
Kardashian.
millions of people across the
No, I'm just
country.
talking about the ones who kind of
Sure,
spoke about
sure.
it out loud and who are popular, who
Yeah,
we see on
yeah.
a day-to-day basis, right? I'm all for it. And I talk about it all the time. What are the current rules in our country? Because I feel sometimes it makes it look so easy, but I'm pretty sure there is a backstory to it. So if you can shed some light on like what's the current rules and what are your thoughts on surrogacy?
So I think from Jan 2022 is where we've got a new regulations that have started around the entire assisted reproductive technology. That is the ART bill that has come around. And the kind of... So in the past, when we were doing surrogacy, it was a commercial surrogacy. Right. So you get into a legal agreement with a healthier woman. And, for the 9 months of pregnancy, and for all the pain that she's kind of gone through, and for just being there and raising the child inside her tummy, there was a certain amount of financial benefit that was given for the women. Now, it was win-win for them in a lot of situations, because for the couple, who already has a medical condition, and we see them day in and day out, who've suffered 6 to 7 miscarriages, and whose uteruses are not healthy enough to kind of bear a child, so they get into surrogacy, and it's a mutual agreement that sets it for a medical advantage to a financial advantage. There are surrogate houses where, these surrogate mothers are placed and taken care of, and, 9 months is over. And then legally the child is going to belong to the intended couple. And of course, the surrogate is taken care for 6 weeks postpartum, and then they part ways. That's how it has been going on for a long time. Unfortunately, every, field has its own pros and cons, and there have been certain mishaps or, issues that have happened with respect to surrogacy. And suddenly, the entire political scenario has changed, and they have completely banned commercial surrogacy. And
it was
they
abused
have,
in a way, I think.
Yes. And now they have kind of entered into a space of altruistic surrogacy, wherein, only a relative or a known person is the one who will be able to kind of, do it. This, I think, has a couple of concerns. It's going to be very difficult to kind of really find someone within the family who's kind of willing to, spend 9 months and, give away the child.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking,
yes, and
it's impossible to find because
and imagine, you have to, all your life, you will still continue to see the child
And
in
not-
the family, but with someone else, and, the child is calling someone else their mom.
You're
and,
setting us up for failure, doctor,
yes,
I'm telling you.
Yes, it's going to kind of have a lot of emotional toll, not only on the surrogate mother, but on the intended mother as well. On the other side, there can be a lot of pressure that comes on, let's say the sister-in-laws or younger ones, or, the sisters, that, okay, your sister is not able to get pregnant, so you become a surrogate for her. And, there can be, a forceful situation that happens, even if it is within the family. So it is very tricky, but a law is a law, and as medical professionals, we have to kind of abide by it. Our heart only goes for all the couples who are still waiting to kind of understand how they can kind of take this forward, because both COVID and the bill, I think, has
Together, delayed it by, like, the whole thing, I think, is going on for almost a year and a half, 2 years, right? Yeah, I've been forever curious about it, and I keep asking you these questions, like, what is it about and how does it work? And, because I think exploring all options is something that we should be doing, right? And then kind of make whatever decision works for you. Oh my gosh, just like that's all, but I just want to kind of tell people what you're going to talk about next. So, we don't have the bandwidth, you guys, to kind of talk more today, because we have like really tried and covered as much as we have could. But how we are going to have a, episode 2 with this, but a little more upgraded topics and topics that you want to hear about. One of the hot topics the doctor was talking to me off camera when she came in was your designer vaginas. It's such a hot topic. I almost want to talk about it now, guys, but we cannot. And you also have to have something to look forward to. But thank you so much, doctor, for
My
being
pleasure,
with us.
Rinima. Thank you for doing this. It's great, I think, to kind of have this candid chat with someone who's progressive and, grounded as well at the same time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. We did cover a lot of elephants in the room today. So I'm very happy. Thank you, you guys. We'll meet you again next time. Till then, remember designer vaginas. I almost kind of stammered. See, I'm trying to be progressive. I am progressive, but sometimes I'm the traditional girl who kind of like, can I say it? But don't do that. Say it. Designer vaginas. We'll see you next time, you guys. Thank you for watching.